the haystack. Our job is to find the needle in it, and what I discovered is the pop culture belief that we're mafioso, mafiosi, we don't deal drugs. No, there were a couple mob bosses like Castellano that he still took the money envelopes, he just didn't want it on tape. So let's be realistic. We can't pretend because The Godfather, and believe me, I love The Godfather and Goodfellas, it's just, no, Italians and Jewish gangsters were the first to really do this, so don't put them on a pedestal. And at the same time, unlike Seth, my father was a narcotics cop. So I grew up with a very different perspective, but when I grew up to become a crime writer, I realized if there's any lesson to take from this, there are 3 sides to every story or more. Don't you ever believe just the one side. You can be very righteous. I know my dad really believed in what he was doing. If he was alive today, we would probably have spirited little debates about where I come from, because I see there's more to it. And the same with the characters we covered. Some you know, some you don't. But they all had their own epic little stories, and that's why I love telling them. And thank you, Jeff, for letting me write about all these guys in the Mob Museum.
Yeah, thank you. One of the things you probably noticed, people who are regulars here, that a lot of the people interviewed in this film have all spoken here in this courtroom in the past. Scott Ditchy and Scott Bernstein and Frank Vanessa and J. Michael Diota. Everybody, almost everybody. It's great. So thank you for that sort of interaction. I'd like to open it up for you guys to ask some questions of the group, of our filmmakers. We could start back. Why don't we start back here?
How you guys doing? My name is Greg, long-time listener, first-time caller. Thank you guys for coming along. So we talked about the mafia and the anti-governmental activities that they were doing. How much do we really know about the government's hand in the drug trade from the 1920s on?
Good question.
Okay, thanks, Greg. Good question, truly, though, but it is. Here's the other lesson to take from this. I don't care where you stand on the problem. The problem is totally economic. It's about money. So to answer your question, is it a conspiracy? Is somebody involved? Hey, maybe. Truth is stranger than fiction, but what it's about money. The Bureau of Narcotics was not under the Department of Justice. It was under the Treasury Department. That right there screams, huh? Oh, because they weren't getting their cut. And this isn't me trying to take a side. It's just researching and put 2 and 2 together. Oh yeah, life is about money. The gangsters wanted money. The good guys wanted money. What it does is it blurs the line between what is truly righteous, who's a good guy, who's a bad guy.
Yeah, I think you see this sitting, I don't think there was back then, I haven't seen like some big conspiracy, or when you come to more modern times with like the CIA, Contra, crack cocaine and all that type of stuff, which I think that's pretty clearly been documented, the CIA's hand in that. So I don't know back then if it was that, but I think if you see like the way the mob developed, because we're trying to show, okay, it was Jewish, Irish, and Italian. But then like all of a sudden, like, the end of Prohibition, like you say, okay, we're only gonna do this, Italian. But you gotta think, like nobody, I think we kind of brush over in this, but nobody says it directly. But I just think like there had to be like a sit down one time and like, like Luciano said, okay, well, the Italians, we're gonna keep organized crime. Like Meyer Lansky, okay, you guys are gonna get into the finance and banking and wash our money. And then the Irish, because the Irish kind of, go out of organized crime, because the Irish moved into the police force, the Irish moved into the politicians. That's why if you see this all the way from the 20s, all the way up to like almost the 70s, like the mob was like powerful. Like there was like the times in the 50s, the 60s, the Italian mafia was probably as powerful as the United States government, because the United States government was getting them to do stuff for them. You know what I'm saying? So when you look at that, you can see like these generations, like maybe the fathers and then the sons, you know, of all these people, like they continued in the family business. But nowadays, that's why I don't think the mob doesn't have power, because they don't have the financial structure, you know, that they did, and they don't have all the Irish politicians and law enforcement, you know, because those people, you know, by the third generation, they're not following, by the third generation, they're not following in the same footsteps as their grandfathers or fathers. So, so I think in that regard, to the question that Greg asked, you know, if there were a lot of Irish people in politics and law enforcement getting payoffs, but I think it was all planned, you know, like I can't prove that, but I believe at one time, like they said, they just divided it up. They said, you guys do this, you guys do this, you guys do this, and we'll make this thing last as long as we can.
Laura, you had a question?
Yes, my position is like yours. that this is
Let me
all-
have you use mine. Go ahead.
My position, like yours, is that this is all economically based, and that were the drug trade to cease immediately as of, say, midnight tonight, the world economy would fall apart. That
Absolutely.
being said, is this really a problem? And if so, is there a resolution that you've come across? And if it's not a problem, why are we in such a stew about it?
Yeah, I think, from my point of view, I think locking people up, the war on drugs, I think it's a business. You know, I was in a lot of these federal prisons on the East Coast, brand new federal prisons that they built throughout the Clinton administration in the 90s. And when they built these prisons, and then, you know, they had like all the support stuff around the prisons, like gas station hotels for like people that come visit. Then they have all the people, like the businesses that supply the stuff. Like in federal prison, they got like it's called like Keefy products, right? Like, it's only in federal prison, like these products aren't anywhere else. So it's like they make them especially. And people always used to say in prison that the Keefy was owned by the Bushes. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, you know. But but definitely, I don't know. I don't know, it seems like in our country, we just always want to fight about something, you know, if it's not race, if it's not, you know, economics, if it's not a political party. So I think the whole war on drugs, it's like, you know, whatever, maybe they want American people, cowboys, go fight. I mean, if they got to fight somebody, that seems like what it's always about our country. So we're always fighting something.
Part two of my question. Now that our country is, and a lot of the rest of the world, is basically living on plastic. We aren't allowed to bring cash into a lot of places. At one time, gaming provided the outlet for the cash flow and that kept the economy going. And is it probable that the drug industry is supplanting that? And if so, is this a good thing, or how do you feel about that?
I don't know to what extent, except my basic belief that every element of everything you said has to do with money. So is it, like Greg's question, is it a big conspiracy? Well, there have been conspiracies throughout, you know, world history, but, and I'm not trying to oversimplify something very complex and nuanced, and it really is, but the short answer is possibly, because it's about money. Everybody's just trying to get by, and right now, with regard to drugs, I know I'm not totally answering your question, but with regard to drugs, remember this: why is it so lucrative, and why can it bankroll things? Because it is a renewable consumable. It is not like anything else. I can grow more opium or marijuana, and that guy is going to take it all. He's going to pay me a lot of money, and I'm going to give it back. And if I'm the government, I'm going to control it because I'm not getting enough of that money. Here's the cycle, and we keep going. Again, it doesn't matter which side you're on. And some people, you know, we've seen people suffer from addiction and things like that. But alcohol, which they tried prohibiting, and we know what happened there. And plus, they made more money by either way. Like, if somebody's making money, the gangsters or the good guys, when you prohibit something. Same with drugs. I'm not saying it's all great, but more people, and this isn't my opinion, more people die from alcohol than they do from non-fentanyl, mollies, or you know, weed, coke, whatever. But I'm to the point now where I think it's just about money that's keeping this drug war going.
There's always going to be cash too. I mean, I was in federal prison 21 years, and you mean you don't have money in there, but it's still a cash system. It's a barter system. They got drugs in there. You know, they lock everybody up for drugs. They can't keep the drugs out of the prison. So it's always going to be cash. It's always going to be underground. So I mean, they can do whatever they want. One world currency. It's always going to be. There's going to be something. If it's not dollar bills, you know, like in prison, we traded like soups, cans of tuna, cigarettes, stamps. So there's always going to be something if it's not money. They're not going to be able to, because that's what people do, man. People trade, people barter. You know, sometimes people don't want to go to the store. They just want to go to their neighbor.
Let's see, I want to be sure everybody gets a chance to ask a question if you have one. Do you have one? Okay, we'll bring the microphone.
I just want to say that I love the animation. I really did.
Yeah,
I
I
really
agree.
did.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
That was nice, nice touch.
I understand about this, but you basically talked about 1920s. What about, let's say, out west, which the Chinese with the opium? That's, you barely touched that. And there's been with the Italians, Jews, the Irish. You know,
I wanted to say this at the beginning, not to cut you off. If we had unlimited budget and 16 straight hours, we would maybe scratch the surface. And I believe someone did mention the Sicilian on the train, and some of it you have to cut out for time. But we know people like Anslinger had it out for the Chinese because it was a foreign culture. These people smoke opium, it's how they relax. Oh, well, that's gotta be bad. The same Sicilians, oh, I don't like what they're drinking, or the Irish, they're drinking. It was very white Anglo-Saxon mentality, as she had said. It was nothing ever based on psychology or science. Hence why I wish we could put it all in there, but you're right. There were a lot of elements that were attacked by these laws that were originally based off, we don't like you. We don't know what that is you're doing. We don't like this. You know, it's not part of the good old boy
You
network.
look different.
That's not a
You're
conspiracy.
different, you talk different, you eat different food.
Yeah.
We have another question over here.
I have a question, teacher. Hi, yes.
Or we have a microphone right behind you there.
Hi. Good morning. I was wondering what your next project is, Seth.
Well, I got a lot. I got, well, so this Dopeman, it's on Amazon right now. So you can get it on Amazon or, you know, tell your friends, show or whatever. I got another series called Psychedelic Revolution. I got The Secret History of the LSD Trade. It's on Amazon right now. The first episode just came out November 15th. So that like goes all the way back to Howard Hoffman, you know, Summer of Love, all that type of stuff, like when the psychedelics became big in the 60s. I got White Boy on Netflix. I have this other film called Nightlife on Amazon about a group of violence interrupters. I got this other film coming out probably in January called Tortured Mind, the Reality of Post-Incarceration Syndrome, which post-incarceration syndrome is a form of PTSD, you know, that prisoners get from being behind those fences for years and watching violence and human degradation and all that type of stuff happen. So that's coming out in January. And yeah, and then like they said, we're gonna work on Dopeman 2 next year. We're gonna work on Psychedelic Revolution 2. I got this other Emerald Triangle series called Tangled Roots, and I'm hoping to get the first episode out sometime next year. So, you know, just a small studio. All I filmed is a small studio. I got like 5 employees and me, you know, so I'm not Netflix. So, you know, we build this stuff. We do a real high quality, high production value. You know, it just takes us longer because I got like 1 editor. You know, when Netflix does something, they got like 10 editors. You know, they can do like a 10-part series in like 18 months, you know. It takes me almost like a year to do like a 60-minute piece. So.
All right, well, you know, thank you all very much for coming. Round of applause for our filmmakers. This wraps up our programming for 2023, but we'll be back in force in January, so have a great holiday.
And we'll